Tech Transforms explores how technology is reshaping our world, particularly at the intersection of government, innovation, and human needs. In each episode, I talk with some of the most influential voices in technology, uncovering how they're leveraging innovation to solve complex challenges and improve the way we live. This episode is sponsored by OWL Cyber Defense, leaders in secure data transfer solutions for critical networks.
Hi, I'm your host, Carolyn Ford. Welcome to a special episode of Tech Transforms that kicks off our Halloween series, Chills and Thrills. Today, we're diving into the curious case of artificial intelligence with futurist and author Joseph Bradley. So in the last episode, we ended on the unsettling side of AI from your book, You to the Power of Two. But what you argue and what I love, like our listeners should go to your website. You have a presentation on there. It's about maybe 30, 45 minutes where you talk about the happiness algorithm and some of the objectives of AI. They can listen to that while they're waiting for the book. That happiness should be AI's prime directive. So let's explore that. So what do you see as the most thrilling opportunities? And I know we've talked a lot about it in the last episode, but the most thrilling opportunities that AI creates for individuals and organizations to reach their full potential. We just ended with you saying, organizations have to share with their employees what this is going to do for them, how this is going to help them have a better day, essentially.
100%.
Otherwise, they're not going to embrace it.
You're 100% right. So, what's the upside, if you will? So, I think it's really important. So, the happiness paradigm says that you need to focus on happiness for your customer base, for your employee base, as your ultimate goal. If you don't, then you can go down this rat hole, which always leads to cost cutting and efficiencies, and that may not be what your customer wants. So, we give an example of a Dutch grocery store that implemented AI and tools to help people run through the checkout lines faster. And what they found is that their customer satisfaction was down. And they go, why is that? We were really efficient. Well, most of their customers happen to be elderly, and they didn't want to get out of the line fast. They wanted to have a conversation. So what did they end up doing? They created a slow checkout line. Instead of AI helping people with getting out, it learned who the customer was so that the checker could have a conversation and engage with that person. So this whole area of the happiness paradigm says, again, be careful with choosing what your purpose or your destination is. You need to be clear on making that choice. If you don't make that choice, if you as a business leader are not clear as to what the goal is, then AI will often be used purely for efficiency purposes, and that may create a result that you aren't really that you're not particularly prepared for. The upside of AI, if I had to sum it up, it's humanity at scale. That's what it is. It makes me the best of me possible, which is awesome. Right? And you think about all the things that we have lived through in the last 50 years, right? I mean, look what happened when the world got together and decided that we should focus on solving COVID. Look what happened. Look what happened. It shows you what happens if you can align yourself and align interests and align the power of human thinking. You can really create and solve some of these unbelievably hard problems. And that to me is the power of your agentic AI agent being a full expression of you. You can talk in your language. I can talk in my language. Imagine that. I've run global companies for years, and the hardest thing by far is ensuring that when you have multiple different cultures, that we are communicating in a way that each person in the organization understands. When you can have natural language processing, where I'm looking and I can see you and I can hear what AI is telling me, but I'm looking at your face and my human intuition between what AI is telling me and your body language. When we can get to that level, you're talking about unlocking an amazing amount of productivity and innovation that we'll see in the organization. So that's what that's why I get up in the morning and fight for each and every day. I that really, really is exciting to me.
How do leaders make this shift? Because I think, and I fall into the trap of we're
Yeah.
doing this to be more productive. No, we're not. We're doing this so we can have more joy. But how do I as a leader, how do I model that objective?
Yes.
How do I bring that into the workplace?
So I think the first thing that you have to really understand as a leader is that AI is not about processes first, it's about values first. So when you think about implementation of AI, again, they start talking about technical aspects, compute power, edge computing versus central
Deer in
computing.
the headlights. I just tune
They,
out.
and because they're worried about the technical implementation. What I
Mm,
mean by start with values first, I'm talking about, we talk about that actually in the book. I'm talking about reliability, transparency, agency, fairness, accountability, safety, adaptability. I'm talking about your values. You have to have some guiding principles that you have to say over and over and over again and filter your AI ambitions through. And you really need to spend, that's your first step. Remember what I was saying? We talked about it's okay to be lost but not wandering around because you know
mm,
where you're going to. You can think about those principles as your in destination, your compass to help you get there. This is where we're always going. Will this move take me closer to that end destination or further away from that destination? It's really important that leaders have that filter. All too often, leaders will talk about AI, and again, they talk about the process, not the value. They
hmm
implement it without the value, and then they run into a problem. Well, wait a minute, now we got an issue. Oh, my employees are reacting this way to it. I didn't expect that. Oh, well, they're telling me that we oh my God, can you go back on our website and look at, we have some values that are like that. That's where, those values in many places sit buried on page 75 deeply in the website, or you can't find them somewhere. You got to bring those out and you got to talk about those each and every day. And especially as it relates to AI, you have to filter it. So your answer is the first step is you think of AI in terms of value, not process first. That's the number one thing that you have to implement. If you don't have your guiding principles for AI in a manner that can implement those, then you're going to be in big trouble.
As you were talking, I just thought about how you've titled your book.
Yeah,
Your book just puts the value of AI, you to the power of two. And
that's
that
right.
is what gets me excited about AI is it's an amplifier for me. And
100%.
so our word choice, like you said, value, not process first. You didn't name your book How do you prompt engineer? I mean, there's a place for that.
Yes, that's exactly right. And no, but it is truly about you becoming the best of you possible. That's what we're trying to, that's what we're trying to achieve. And when you think about kind of how most of us approach these problems, we talked about this in the earlier episode about outputs versus inputs.
Mm,
The problem with focusing on outputs is that they're lagging indicators.
hmm
It allows you, you're looking what's happening in the rearview mirror.
hmm
Inputs are typically looking forward, what you're going to do, not what you've done, but what are we going to do? Where should things happen? And that's why it's so important to have this input focus, if you will, as opposed to this output focus, which always, always, always has you looking in the rearview mirror trying to catch up. And if you looked and you asked most organizations, what is your most important asset? They'll say people.
hmm
Yet you have
Always.
no forward indicator. Your whole HR is mainly built on questions that happened a quarter ago. And you're looking at your people and their feelings and what's happening to them a month ago. You got your head turned back way and you're trying to figure out, well, why aren't we achieving what we need to achieve? This whole focus around AI has the ability to help you take the most important asset you have in your organization, which you say is your people, and be able to give you a forward looking view as to where they're going, what they want to accomplish, how they can help you. That's why it's so important.
hmm And back to discovering the magic of AI for me, I have AI help me figure out what those inputs are. Because sometimes I'm like, well, I
Absolutely.
don't even know where to start. And
Absolutely.
and then I think I just need to start. And I'll start word vomiting at AI and get my conversation going and have it help me shape up and define what the input needs to be. What help me get to the right question.
It's 100% right. I mean, the thing again, especially as you lead more and more people in your career, you most of us will get an understanding as CEO. We're actually taught we have to be very careful about the questions that we actually ask of our organization. Because as a CEO, if I simply ask an innocent question, I could have people can interpret that, and I can have 20,000 people all of a sudden marching to the right, shifting, right? And so the higher you go, you're actually you insulate yourself from the question that you really want to ask, because if you ask a question, you're concerned about the amount of energy and effort and the resource that's taken to come with that answer. All of a sudden now, here's this AI thing that pops in the middle. And now the skill that you have to learn is you can actually ask that asset of yours that question. And it doesn't require a whole bunch of hundreds of people and millions of dollars to go spending and giving you an answer. And so, but that has to be, again, that's a whole behavioral thing that has to be taught and understood, because that is something that, again, goes against what many CEOs have experienced, not just been taught, have experienced in their ability to be able to simply ask a quote innocent question or ask a question in this direction, and the next thing you know, your whole organization is off track.
Right. And just like we talked about in the last episode, red team those questions. Give your AI the different personas and say, you're my engineering group. You guys care about this. If I said this, how are you going to respond? Like,
Yes, absolutely,
how are you going to feel? So
absolutely.
I want to talk about the cognitive cities again. First, I want to know, like, how close are we and what gets you
Sure,
the most excited about cognitive cities?
sure. So, okay, how close are we? I
Hmm.
think there's some really good examples. So if you think of like Estonia, they have their world's first kind of digital republic. They have where every citizen basically has a unique ID that locks in their
Hmm.
healthcare, voting, banking, taxes, and all this stuff. All that is allowing them to be proactive and predictive to kind of shape experiences. Singapore has its kind of One Nation program that I think is, or Smart Nations program, they call it, which is great, because again, it's taking all of the information from its various cities and how citizens are interacting, and they're trying to use it to be more forward looking in reshaping how they should do urban planning and what city services they should offer. So I think Estonia, Singapore is a good example. I think Dubai has some really, really great stuff that they're doing as well to enhance customer experience. And then, of course, Neom, I always tell folks, you can't achieve what you can't understand, right?
Hmm.
And Neom is an amazing announcement, because somebody had to think of it. The Crown Prince had to think of it and see it, and then had to believe it to be true, then had to understand it, knowing what the financial implications of something like this would be. And so I think, and when you put that out there, the thing to me that people are missing, it isn't whether or not it will be successful or not. Wrong question. No, wrong question. What you got to ask yourself is what is the talent level? Have people are people believing that this is a reality? Are people believing that this cognitive city is something that they can actually build? And what you find is yes. I went to Saudi Arabia to work in the most diverse environment of my life in technology. I'm like, this is amazing. I get there, and there are people from all around the world, men, women, all different types of nationalities, like 90 different nationalities. My leadership team at Neom was 55%. My direct reports were like 52% women. And I'm sitting there going, this is amazing. And why is that? Is because people believed in the purpose. and that purpose attracted them to work in that. So when you think about the cognitive city, yes, the technology stuff that we talked about is very important, being predictive and proactive in Singapore and Estonia. But the underlying piece that a lot of people miss, the promise of the cognitive city, it's a much greater purpose. That is what is attracting talent. You're putting people and humans first, and that's why it's so exciting to talk about smart cities. You only mention people. You're talking about things. You're talking about connected buses, connected trains, connected lights. What is that? You don't even mention a human. You don't mention a citizen. The power of the cognitive city. Not only is it in the technology, but it's in the purpose. In other words, the value is found in the destination and getting there. That's the goal. That's what gets people excited about the notion of a cognitive city.
Yes. So after the journey of writing You to the Power of Two, what was the discovery or realization, or did you have a big aha moment that left you most excited about AI's abilities?
I think that one of the biggest aha moments for me was when we were there's a section of the book that talks about the arts. What came to my mind was, man, whether if you happen to be a disabled individual, AI really has the power to be able to help you realize your full expression of self. You don't need to be able to control your arms and legs to be able to be an artist, to draw, to write, to create something that is beautiful. And if we can just focus in on allowing you to be the best of you possible, man, that is so much efficiency, so much happiness, so much productivity. If we can just tap into a little bit of that, right, we can solve a lot of problems. So that was my biggest, I think, my biggest aha is it's really isn't about trying to do more. It's about you becoming more. It really isn't. It's not.
Right.
It's not. That's the. And if you understand that, then I have a really, really good high level of confidence that AI will be successful.
Unlocking things that you didn't even know you wanted.
100%. 100%.
What are some measurable outcomes or changes that you've seen since implementing a human-centric, input-focused approach to AI?
I think the biggest for me, higher employee satisfaction and faster time to market. I think those are the two. Quick story in one time, but so my team created the first digital identical twin of myself, not knowing that's what we were doing. They simply got tired of presenting wrong presentations to me, my strategy team. And I go, no, that's not it. That's not it. So I said, the more you get it wrong, we're going to start having these conversations early. So we got like 4:00 in the morning. Go, no, Joseph. Okay, we got an idea. Can we give access to your emails and these conversations, not for the purposes of doing anything else, but we just want to create, we think we can create with AI a version of you that we could practice with. And sure enough, that's what they did. They created a version of me. They practiced. It got much better. They actually were much happier because they found success, and it freed their time up to do other things and to be more creative and bring value to me. And the time to market was dramatically reduced in terms of them producing content that I thought was in line with the strategic direction that we want to go to. So faster time to market, and then I have seen, which I would never have thought of, but I've seen a big movement in employee satisfaction as compared to with AI versus without AI. Yes, I've seen that by far.
Yeah. Well, and you had to be happier because you weren't having to review
100%.
over and over. And I've done something similar with my CEO. He knows, so it's not creepy. He knows I've done this. Like, I've set up a GPT for him. Yes. And I'm constantly feeding it. No, he likes this. Like, listen, I've given it, presentations he's done, things he's written, so it can learn his style. And when I give him something to review, it's 95%.
And that's a great, that is a great application of it. And you told him, he's aware of it. Yes, all those things are so important. And you eliminate the kind of icky factor because he knows about it, and you're very clear about what you're using it for. You hit all the values, man. You went value first, so well done.
All right, let's move to our Tech Talk questions for this episode, our Thrills episode. If Identic AI were a Star Trek sidekick, who should voice it? The logical Spock, the curious Data, or the omniscient ship's computer? And I'm going to throw one more in there. What about Q?
It's probably a cop out, but I actually think it would do this. With Authentic AI, it would definitely use all four. It wouldn't be
Ooh.
about one voice. It would know which voice to use to be able to help you
Oh my
or
gosh, it would code
move you.
switch. Okay, you surprised me. I did not expect you to pick all four. Well done. All right. What's an outdated piece of tech you still love, kind of like a classic Starfleet communicator or a tricorder?
Combustible engines.
Oh, you and my dad. I'm not saying that you're as old as my dad, but yes. I mean, they're kind of pretty, right? Like I love going to like a train museum.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I'm not me and my maybe that way with my automobiles. I mean, I love it. Look, personally, look, electric. I'm a car collector, and electric cars are just. I mean, I drive one around every day. It's just so great in many ways. But there is that experience factor of hearing that pure mechanical. I'm a Porsche guy, and that it's an experience unto itself. And so I
Mm.
do envision O'Day. My nephew is 9 years old, and I told my wife, I said, he's gonna look at us, and when he's 18, he's gonna be like, can you believe you guys were stupid enough to drive? Well, you had to focus in a car. You couldn't do anything but stay on the road. And how did you do that for like
My
5
kid
hours at
says
a
that
time?
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's not going to know anything of that of what we know about driving. And I said, you know what? Just like you go to a park to ride horses, we're going to have to go to a park to drive a car. It's
That's
going to be
right.
the same thing. That's where
Yeah.
that's exactly where we're headed. So anyway.
Well, and I think maybe in our cognitive cities, you'll be able to just like rebuild the car of your dreams. My dad rebuilt a Ford 1946 from the
Oh,
floorboards up.
nice.
He tore it down, rebuilt it.
Really
So,
nice.
yeah. So maybe the cognitive cities gives us back that kind of time, right? Where we can just do the
Hopefully.
things that give us joy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I mean, that's the goal. And
Yeah.
again, as long as you understand what the goal is, I think that AI can really help us get there.
Well, thank you so much for spending this hour with me, Joseph. It's been a delight.
Thank you. I enjoyed the conversation. Lots of fun.
The time's gone by way too fast. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. Please share this episode and smash that like button. Tech Transforms is produced by Show and Tell. Until next time, stay curious and keep imagining the future.
At the edge of cyber and kinetic conflict, speed is survival. Join government and industry leaders at the OWL Evolution Summit, October 24th, 2025, where fiction meets mission and real-world threats meet real-time solutions. Reserve your spot now at owlcyberdefense.com/summit. Thanks for joining us on Tech Transforms. If you enjoyed this episode, please smash that like button and talk about it with a friend. I'm Carolyn Ford, and this is Tech Transforms.